Hello, it's Terry. Who do we have?
Hi Terry, this is Eunice and I'm calling from London, in England.
Wow. Hi, Eunice. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Terry. It's really good to be speaking with you today.
Thank you. I love your accent. So let's go ahead and get started. Why'd you give me a call?
So I've been watching your videos on YouTube. YouTube randomly recommended me to you, and so I started watching your videos. And um, from the moment I started watching your videos, I could see that you definitely had passion for the industry, um, and that you knew what you were talking about. And so after kind of investing in more and more of your videos, I knew that you were somebody that I needed to pay attention to and to listen to, and to try and learn from what you were saying and what you were doing. And so I got to the point where obviously there was only so much I could get from just watching YouTube videos, that I knew that I needed to take that step and invest in real training and real coaching. And it's funny because I spoke to my husband and I said, look, I really want to do this. And he said, why this guy? Why not all these other people? And are you sure? And all I could say was, I can just tell from watching his videos and listening to him speak that he really knows what he's talking about. This is someone who's not adding fluff. This is someone who has been in the game, who knows what he's talking about and has a passion for teaching. And then when I looked into your coaching program, to me it was a no-brainer, because so many people say that they want to teach you a system, and you can invest in that system, but then you come out and you still have like so many questions. But what I saw that you were doing that was completely different was that you are giving people the opportunity to understand how you think. You're giving people the opportunity to look at a deal, to walk through how you do real estate, to develop the mindset of a real estate investor. And that's so much more powerful than buying into a system, because at the end of the day, when you can look at a deal and you can understand what it is and why it works or why it doesn't work, that takes you, that's something you can use for the rest of your life, versus one system that then if something in the system changes, then you're stuck again. You don't know how to think about a deal. And so what I realized is that you were giving people the opportunity to learn and actually understand what it is to make a good investment. And so that was a no-brainer for me. You weren't just teaching a system, but you were walking people through and teach them how to think about things. And so when I combined those two together, I just knew that this was something that I had to do, and that I wouldn't have another opportunity like this. There's nobody who's offering to give their time to walk someone through training the way that you are. And so yeah, I just knew I had to take this opportunity. Sorry, I've rambled a bit, but yeah.
Well, you know what, Eunice? I'm actually just sitting here listening to you, and I'm glowing. I really thank you. I appreciate you. You just expressed it in a way that I had never heard. This is the most quietest I've ever been on any of my calls. Just listening at you so eloquently describe that. And you're absolutely right. I walk you through the process so you can think for yourself through how it's done, because you're absolutely right. You could start one system one day, that system stops or it doesn't work anymore, and then guess what? You got to go out and find another system. And that's a expensive process, and you never get clarity on what you should be doing that fits you as an individual. I know for me, I always refer to my training similar to McDonald's. I'm going to teach you every single detail. It's going to be system. It's going to be a process. and I'm going to teach you the way I think so that you can think on your own. That way, when you come back to me and says, hey, Terry, I need help, we'll have a basis to work with. And we'll be able to help each other. You'll understand my process. I'll understand how your process is to gain you clarity, because you want to be able to do this real estate business anywhere you go. And you can do it from anywhere, because real estate is real estate. I get a lot of people that call me and they say, hey, you know what? I want to do real estate in Kansas. I want to do real estate in California. I want to do real estate in New York. I said, you know, it really doesn't matter where you do real estate as long as you know what your return on investment's going to be from your investment, what your profit margins are going to be. That's real estate, regardless. Yeah. So I appreciate you. I know you had talked, I asked about your education because of your title. And could you tell everyone what your expertise is?
Yeah, so for the last 10 years, I've been working partly in international development and also in early years education. And so what I do is I train professionals and I work with professionals to think about how we teach children, to think about how we engage with children, to think about how we create an environment where children can access information and they can thrive. And so that's what I do. My husband and I, we set up a charity in Ghana, and so I've been using my work in the UK and adapting it to a Ghanaian context, and through our charity we've been supporting educators in Ghana, and in the UK I work in partnership with local government and other charities, run projects that are typically aimed at looking at why children aren't achieving what they should be achieving, what's going wrong with relationships between children and their families, because often this has a really big impact on why children aren't achieving, and what we can put in place to make sure that children are, having the best start to life. So I specialise really with 0 to 5 years, the early years, but I'm trained to kind of work across the board. And that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years.
Wow. I'm telling you, this is going to be exciting, because I think you can take what I do as a real estate person, combine what you do as an educator, and we can, I hate to use the word 10X because that's so used by a guy named Grant Cardone, but we can 10X this program to get better results for the clients. Are you in the technology very heavily, per se?
No, it's something that's more my husband, but it's something that I am getting my head into because it's so much a part of the world that we live in, and it's so necessary for so many things these days. So I'm not against it.
Okay.
To get my head around it.
Well, the thing of it is, again, now, because you're in the UK, there could be a lot of opportunity to take what I do and develop something, in the UK. I don't know the correct words, that part of the world where, we can come in and educate and train and teach, and especially for children. I would love to try to develop a financial education, financial literacy program. Yes. Because as you well know, I don't know in your neck of the woods, teaching finance is very difficult because, number one, you got to have the person that's teaching it understand it. And most times, not knocking teachers, but most teachers are teachers. That's their expertise, not financial literacy. Yeah. So they're still challenged by financial education and financial literacy themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what is so frustrating about the system, and absolutely. This is what needs to be changed. I'm so passionate about making sure I have the financial education and literacy to enable me to teach other people. So this is why I think it's so crucial to get the training myself and to ensure that I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing, and I've actually walked the walk. But I'm so, like, especially in my line of work, I'm so passionate about this. If we're going to see changes in society, we have to start with teaching children. And actually, they're the best because they come as a blank slate. They absorb information, and if you can get that spark to go young, oh my gosh, it's, they are incredible what they can do, because the world is so new, and if you can help them to believe that, then it's amazing. And this is why, I think I mentioned it in my email to you that I would love to bring this sort of thing to Ghana through my charity, because people there already have a very entrepreneurial spirit. It's in the air there, everyone's hustling, and so for them to be able to combine that nature that's already in them with some financial literacy, I really believe that we'll see things turn around very, very quickly. Every time me and my husband go, we're blown away by how much things are changing and advancing. And I just think if people, could understand what we understand, and have access to this type of information, oh my gosh, the potential would just it'll be out of this world. So I'm really excited to learn this myself, and then to absolutely, one of my goals is to start training people over there.
Well, let's say that's given, that's done. I want you to, you will have the freedom to say, hey, Terry, this is what needs to be done for kids. This is what needs to be done for Ghana. And I'm all excited about that, just to know that, I could bridge a gap. I could be a bridge in that arena. So any given time, please bring it up. And you're going to love my mobile app, because my mobile app is a system. Once you learn how to do the formulas, the mobile app is interactive. I've gamified financial education and financial literacy, and I need exposure. And it's a perfect way for us to teach. For me, that mobile app, I could have 15 million people in this room with us. And that mobile app is something they look at when I teach, and they can practice right in this room with us without even leaving our own house. I come to them for education.
Yeah. Amazing.
Just because I love.
I wanted to also...
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, Terry, because, when I look at the package that you're offering, which is incredible, by the way, like a year's worth of coaching, it's unheard of. It's just amazing. Like why? And you could be charging 20 times as much as you're charging for your coaching. So what's the passion and the inspiration behind this offer? And I guess I wanted to hear a bit more from you about that.
Oh, that's great. That's a great question. I talked to one of my students earlier today about the same exact thing. I have charged $25,000 for the coaching, and I've gotten it. So even to have a coach for 2 times a week for a whole year, that's 100 calls. So that in itself is worth it. But here's where I kind of see things a little differently. If I was doing this for a living, the teaching and the coaching for a living, maybe I would think differently, but I've done extremely well in real estate. When I first started, I was teaching karate classes, and my daughter was ready for college, and I couldn't afford to pay for it. I shut my karate school down. I needed something bad, and I'm going to go back to you on this also, because that's one question I have, but I needed something bad to really put me in a position financially, because I was struggling. And what happened was, a guy that I went to school with A guy that I knew, a guy that I grew up with, let me teach my last karate students out of his garage. And this guy, I went to his house, and he lived in a gated community, an affluent neighborhood. He had a beautiful 2-story home. And when I looked at it, I was just like, wow, nice house. And so, bottom line was, you need someone to hold your hand through the process.
Yeah.
At that time, I couldn't afford to pay the big money for a coach. Yeah. And so what happened was, I was able to get the education I needed to succeed. Then I had an uncle who was very successful in real estate. And I could call him and talk to him at any given time about real estate. So bottom line is, I was a person that wasn't very wealthy, that needed real estate like I needed air and blood.
Yeah.
So now my theory is this. People need to know how to invest in real estate. The people that need. There are people out there that are well-to-do, got plenty of finances. They can sit in those courses and they can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get educated. It's like the rich stay rich.
Yeah.
But how do I reach back? How do I reach? How do I help someone that has limited resources? So will the world be better, Eunice, if me and you went in and disrupted the education system and taught them about financial education and financial literacy? The people that have money, they know how. They know they should be in classes. They know they should be learning. They know they should have mentors. The rich stay rich.
Yeah.
Right? But how do you reach back to that demographic? You know, how do I reach back to my neighborhood so that that neighborhood has the opportunity to prosper and grow and learn about money, building wealth, real estate investing, estate planning, and how to live debt free? If not, it just repeats itself. The poverty just repeats itself over and over and over. So it's not about the money. Plus, Eunice, if I help you and we're able to just blow it up in the school system and you know, into the country that you started your charity, look at all of the goodwill that's done. It's like my student that made the 1.2 million. When I worked with him and he worked with me, we elevated each other. So I could get financial compensation later, but the process, I'm okay with what you pay. And I'm okay with saying, okay, let's blow it up and grow it really big, and I can create a legacy.
Yeah. Which is amazing. Like, I think that's so amazing. And yeah, it's such an honor, you know, because, you know, what you're doing is you're removing that barrier. And this is the thing, I do think that there should be an investment, because I found that, you know, because even when I run like very, very small scale like courses for people and stuff, if you don't charge anything at all, people disrespect it, you know. And so actually when there is a charge, you find that, you know, people have made a commitment, and they're more likely to stand by that commitment because it's cost them something. So I do think that, you know, that there should be a charge for things, and also it's your time. But, you know, to do it in the way that you are doing is, like I said, it's something that I've never seen before, because I've been looking for training for so long, and I've not just wanted another, you know, come to a 2-day event and the purpose of the event is to sell you another event and another course and another thing, you know.
Yes.
I could just tell that what you're doing is about really imparting knowledge and really giving people information so that they can do this themselves, so they can go on and teach themselves. So yeah, I think that's amazing, and I'm so excited to be able to just pick your brain and learn from you and, you know, come back and say, Terry, look, this is the deal that I found, help me understand it, you know, that's just invaluable. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to get going and to learn from the master.
Well, Eunice, here's the thing. You have skills, and if I can teach you the skills I have, again, who knows where you're going to go? You may own apartments, you may own hotels and motels, but your creativity, my education, your ambition, who knows? This is like unlimited. Like here we are, we're talking about, you know, tackling the education system, disrupting education to somebody finally figured out how to put financial education in the school system. And guess what? It's me and you. We're riding in the same car together. What an accolade. What an accomplishment. You know, so I'm excited. I'm honored. I always say the rising tide lifts all boats. So with your education background, I expect you to push me to limits that I've never seen before. And I always believe in the more you give, the more you get. I'm just happy. I'm blessed to be where I'm at. I'm honored that I've reached somewhere across the world. I don't even know how far it is to have you look at me on video and say, you know what, that's the guy. Out of all the people you had to look at, I was the one you picked. So I'm tickled. Hey, let me just keep going here. You have financial challenges. Could you just share with us what has happened from, you know, your position and your husband's position and what it's led you to?
Yeah, sure. So me and my husband, we had our first child last year, May of last year, and I was due to go on maternity leave in March, and I found out early February that I was going to be made redundant. So that means I'd go on maternity leave and then have no job to come back to. And obviously, to be made redundant while you're on maternity leave is crazy, because it doesn't give you many options to find a job. And so, yeah, I mean, I just remember feeling so fearful at the time and just thinking, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We have a mortgage to pay and bills and stuff like that. And then around that time also we found out that my husband's contract was coming to an end, and it wouldn't be renewed. And so then it was like, yeah, wow. And so we had some really like tough decisions to make. We have our home that's mortgaged at the moment, and so we decided to rent that out. And thankfully my mum let us move back in, so we are living with my mum at the moment while we rent out our mortgage, while we rent out our property. And so we've been at my mum's for the past year. We're very grateful. It's been a blessing, because with COVID and the lockdowns and stuff, it's been nice to be at her house and for my son to be around his grandma, and so that's been really good. But this is definitely not ideal, and this is definitely not a long-term, solution. Mm-hmm. And so once we kind of got over like the fear and the shock and the, what we're gonna do, we actually decided instead of like running into just getting another job, let's take this time to reevaluate, reassess, to figure out, what went wrong, what's wrong with our situation, why we're in this mess, and then to start doing things in a different way, to start, fixing the mess. And so it just became really apparent that this is one of the reasons why you can't have one income stream, because it can be taken away from you. And when it is, like, there's nothing there, I think gone are the days where you had one job and you worked that job until you retired. That doesn't exist anymore. And companies unfortunately are not very loyal. And so I think it's just really crazy in these times to not have other ways or other income that are coming in. And so, yeah, we've decided that actually this will be a great opportunity to grow our financial literacy, to look at becoming financially independent, to taking control of our money, to doing things differently than everybody else is doing. And so, with the little bit of income that we're getting in, we've opened up investment accounts. We've learned about investing in funds. We're learning about property and real estate. We're just throwing ourselves headfirst into things that we know are going to make a difference for us. And education is so key. So again, even though it's a really tough time, I knew that this was something that I had to do, because I really do believe it's going to help us change our situation. And already things are changing, like in such a short space of time. We're realizing so much, and we're making like small steps, and I'm really proud of what we're doing. And actually it's amazing because I don't feel afraid anymore. I feel excited and I feel hopeful, and I feel like I know something is around the corner. And if I can really understand how money and wealth is made, then I know we will never be in this situation again. And that doesn't mean that tough things won't happen, but it means that if it does, that we'd always will know how to sort ourselves out again. So yeah.
Well, that's good. One of my favorite saying is you can control your own economy. And if you're in charge, and if you have financial freedom and time freedom, and you're chasing your passion, life is going to be good. So that's what I do. I chase my passion of teaching real estate, being involved in real estate. I did want you to talk a little bit about your mom's hard work, but before I go there, we're in a women's movement right now. Women's movement is on fire. So here's another avenue that we can collaborate on. I can train you with your education background, with your intelligence, with your knowledge. There's a whole movement out there in the world that's looking for the same things you're looking for, coming from a woman's perspective versus coming from my perspective. I don't have any problem with it. I love it all. I'm a chameleon. I'll adapt to anything. So there's another opportunity that I want to present to you. The education could be school systems, could be other women, it could be a broad market, and you can put together a curriculum that's incredible with support and training. Look how big that could be. So I'm trying to point out some financial opportunities, not only because I'm coaching you, but the collaboration between us working together.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Absolutely. And that's something else that I'm so passionate about. I don't know what it's like in America, but I'm guessing it's not too dissimilar from what it's like in the UK. Women are still not being paid equally for doing the same amounts of doing the same work as men are, because women take maternity leave and have children. They end up being worse off financially. When you look at like poverty, it hits women so much harder than it hits men. And so I so believe this. If you can give women tools to make better financial decisions, what the data shows is that actually that has an impact on their children and the life that their children live, and also then what their children go on to do. And so I think it's amazing, to give women an opportunity to understand this stuff and to have a seat at the table, and because a lot of this stuff is presented as if it's too complicated to understand and therefore you need to let somebody else do it, but that's not true. It's just terminology, and once you get your head around that and you can understand how the pieces all work together, you absolutely can do this, and so And I
Wow.
know if I can, then anybody can as well. And so that really excites me because I think, yeah, you know what, really, I don't know, this might be very unpopular, but it just really frustrates me when I see that all women want is to, like, you know, some women, they're just waiting for a man to save them or to, you know, to give them what they need. And I just think, how limiting, you know, go out and understand how to earn that for yourself, you know, and then you're not dependent on anybody. And like, yeah, to show women that there's another way, and you know, then you have choice. No one can take that away from you. That really inspires me as well.
Wow. You just so eloquently said it. This is why it's coming from a different perspective. It's coming from your heart, and you're saying, hey, look, these are things that we should be looking at and how we should do it. But going back to this, real estate is nothing but numbers. It's nothing but a number. Now, real estate is an equal opportunity wealth builder. So guess what? When you learn it, you're in control. You make as much money as you want. You don't have to make, you know, hey, what this guy wants to make or what somebody else is thinking. Eunice says, you know what? I want to make this amount, and you're able to make it happen. So I think real estate is the perfect avenue for every single woman, every single man, because it's an equal opportunity wealth builder. If it builds wealth for
Yeah.
millionaires, and it's the most, real estate's created the most millionaires, then why not be a woman millionaire? Why not be a black millionaire? Why not be a white millionaire? Why not be a man millionaire? Why not be, you know, a teenage millionaire from real estate? So the world is
Yeah.
open. You just got to
Absolutely.
get some education. That's the thing. Got to get the education. Then from there, it's your ambition, your drive, your desire, your motivation, and we'll see what happens. So, excellent points. That's exactly why I think we're going to work good together, because you already sold me. I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. You know, I hear that, you know, women are not getting paid equally. Well, how do we disrupt that? Well, let's go out and get paid more. Units get paid more than you could ever imagine. Like my student that made the 1.2 million. You know, anybody could have
Yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
but here he is. He happened to be a guy in real estate and commercial. He had money. He's a millionaire, and he decided, you know what? Let's go deal with the bank. So let's teach Eunice how to deal with the bank. Let's teach all females,
Yeah.
all women, how to deal with the bank. So now the playing field is even.
Absolutely. And the banks, I mean, the more I've been learning about this, it's just mind blowing, like amateurization, right? Like,
Yes.
how do they get away with this? It's because people don't know, right? You don't know, so you sign your life away because you don't know that there are other options that you can pay for your property. You know, there are other ways that you can negotiate, that you can ask about this and this and this. And I'm just learning about all this stuff now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like if other people knew, you know, like, and it's, you know, think, yeah, the more people that know, then you have more choices. You have more choices, and you can make decisions for yourself rather than just always being at the mercy of of the banks, right?
Well,
And so,
yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly
we
what
can
when
play
I
the game
first started
too.
out teaching. I would say, hey, look, I like buying the loan simply because $100,000 loan, I would like to buy it for 25. A person that owns that house is going to pay back $250,000. But that is the
Yeah,
system. The system says, Eunice, if you want to buy a house, conventional wisdom says, Eunice,
yeah,
go get a loan from a bank, put a down payment, pay it for 30 years, pay back 2 to 3 times more than what you borrowed, and that's the system. So I disrupted that and says, no, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a house, the owner's going to give it to me, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to make money from it, let somebody else pay the mortgage, and then I'm going to make a fee for doing that transaction. So I disrupted real estate because my credit wasn't that great and I didn't have money, so I had to figure out a way to do this unconventionally. Disruption,
yeah, yeah.
disrupt.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at, and that's how I created this system. I'm not conventional by any means, but I can use conventional wisdom or I can use unconventional wisdom. I'm kind of like that conductor in front of an orchestra. You know, the orchestra has all these different musicians that are great at what they do, But that conductor has that stick up in his hand or her hand, and as soon as that stick starts moving, the orchestra's like playing beautiful music. As soon as that stick drops, everybody stops. So that's the way I kind of look at it. Hey, can we talk about your mom? Hard work. You kind of told me she's how many jobs?
Yeah. So, yeah, my parents divorced when I was quite young, and it meant that my mum bore a lot of the financial responsibility for bringing us up. And so, it's just saying what I was talking about. So initially, my dad had a really good job, and he took care of all the finances. And my mum didn't have to work, and she didn't really know much about. She didn't have any financial literacy. And so when they divorced, my mum was left, just having to figure things out. And so she had to get 3 jobs in order to make sure that there was food on the table and that we had everything that we needed. And I'm really grateful because we did. We didn't have to go without. But it meant that, like, I didn't see her very much when I was young, because she was always working and working so hard. And it's crazy because she's in her late 60s now, and she's still working. She's working 2 jobs now, 2 part-time jobs, but she's still working. And not that long ago, I looked at her, what she gets when she retires, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you've been working for 30 plus years, and that's it. Actually, based on how much you're spending, you're gonna run through, you're gonna burn through your pension, in a few years. You can't actually afford to retire at based on what you're getting now, which is just, it's shocking that you can be working, all your life and still can't afford to retire. And I know that this is the case for so many people. And again, this has just been a huge wake-up call that, like you're saying, if you don't disrupt the system, if you don't wake up and take responsibility for your own, financial freedom, we're all gonna end up in this situation. We're all gonna end up, at retirement age, realizing there isn't enough money to retire on, and that we're gonna have to keep working. And so, yeah, again, it's been a blessing actually being at home with her and seeing what that looks like 30, 40 years from now has been the wake-up call that we've needed to say, no, we've got to put things in place now to make sure that we're not in that situation, and 2, that I actually am in a position to be able to help her, because she's going to need it, based on what I've seen.
Wow, that's wonderful. I got a couple of points to add to that. Your mom is to be commended wholeheartedly, and we're not talking down and against, but this is what happens in the real world. This is why we have poverty. They say get a job, work hard your whole life, and you do that, and you don't have enough money to retire. Inflation, the cost to own and rent. If she owns, that's beautiful. Hopefully she's got it paid off. If she's renting, she still has to work to pay the rent. So that's how we have poverty. That's why we have so much homelessness. That system is broken. And the sooner an individual realizes that they have to be the ones to put themselves in a position to, as they get older, be able to live a comfortable life. That's one thing my uncle taught me when I was young. He said, save your money, buy a house, pay it off. And so that was my financial plan. Terry, go out, do real estate, take that money, pay off your rental properties. That way you have passive income, you have no debt. And then when you get older, you don't have to go to work at no job because you're financially free.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? That's my plan. Yeah. I'm going to go out and I'm going to hit it hard, and that's what's going to happen. And I tell you, I haven't had a job since I used to have the number. I can't remember now. But I haven't had a job in so long. I'm totally free. And I look at the way the world is now, especially with COVID. A recession. A lot of people lost their jobs. So there is no guarantee either way you go. But if I want to take a chance, I'm betting on me.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell me. I'm going to invest in me because I believe that that's how I'm going to be successful, not by working for someone and making them
Yeah.
rich. I just can't see it. Here's the other thing: your mom works super hard for money.
Yeah.
Investing is about having your money work super hard for you. How do I get my money to multiply and increase because I'm an investor? World of difference.
Absolutely.
It's night and day. So I do believe, and this is again why some women, it could be men, why come they end up on the short end after so many years of working hard? Okay, there's a lot of factors that go in, but these days I think you gotta be financially savvy to even be
Yeah.
able to live a comfortable life.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I really do. I agree. And it's to, it's to the benefit of the system to just keep us so busy in a job that we don't stop to take a look and to taking actually what's going on, that we don't stop to say, actually, where is this leading me? Where am I going to be in 40 years if I continue this, And so, again, even though this is something I would not have wished for, I'm really grateful actually,
Yes.
because it's allowed us to stop. It's kind of stopped us in our tracks, and it's made us go back and reevaluate everything, which has led me to where I am now on the phone talking to you. So yeah, and sometimes it's funny how life often works like that.
Yep. Yep.
It's out of moments that that seem like tragedies that actually you start to see the light coming through.
Well, the good thing of it is you now see it, you understand it better, you've seen it in the rearview mirror, and you say, you know what? I got to change. I don't want my dynamic to be what it has been in the past. If I don't change, then I can see in the future I'm going to be in that same rat race, that same pattern, and then my son has to experience mom not being there and dad not being there. So I can tell you one more thing, and then we're going to wrap it up. My daughter played basketball for a high school team, and I was probably one of the few fathers, maybe even mothers in the stands representing our team, because I was free. I would buy the girls food, I would buy the girls drinks, I would transport them, and I really enjoyed that. And my one daughter tells me all the time, she says, not many of her friends have a father in their lives, and she's appreciative that hey,
Yeah.
I've been there and I've helped out and I talk to them and I treat them like they're my own kids. So it's been wonderful. The freedom is just there's no true freedom like financial freedom.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, why don't you give me something else, a pointer or anything you want, then we're gonna wrap it up, because if you talk I'll go talk. I don't never stop talking, and I think we've given we've given a great perspective. If anything's gonna change, we got to change it, because the government's not gonna be there to make sure we're okay. The boss is
Yeah.
not gonna be there to make sure we're okay. It's entirely up to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm. What would I say? It takes courage. It takes courage to be able to stop and say, this is not working, or the system is broken, or I need help. But actually, nothing grows in fear, and so, to be able to, want to change your situation is a really courageous one, and to understand that, the system isn't set up to teach you how to do this, so it's not your fault that you don't know, but there comes a point that we all, like you said, have to take responsibility for the choices we make and the type of life that we want to live. And so again, I just see what you're offering and this coaching as an amazing opportunity. And everything that's worthwhile takes an investment, it takes work, it takes time, but when you combine all those things, you will reap a reward. And so again, I'm really grateful, and I'm looking forward to be working with you. And I'm just excited to see what is possible. And also, as long as you have a brain that functions, you can learn, and nothing is outside of like the realm of like, nothing is impossible. You can learn, you can get this information, and you can figure it out. From watching your videos, I've learned so much. I can calculate ROI. I'm just amazed. I've learned so much just from the few videos that I've watched, and it's just, it makes me excited, because I think, wow, okay, what, how much further could I go if I was able to actually have time with you? And so this is why I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing. But yeah, I'm super grateful. I'm so thankful that you're offering this at such an affordable cost, and that that your motivation is to share this knowledge and to make it accessible to people. And more people need to grab this, because this is a real opportunity. And so
thank you.
I just can't wait to get started.
Thank you. This is a great conversation. I always like keeping it real. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. I ain't trying to sell nobody. I'm just showing you what I do. That ROI, you're going to love it when I finish working with you. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. The bank's giving us 1, 2, and 3, right? The bank, See, the thing of it is, we haven't seen wealth, and we don't know how wealth is built. My uncle was a wealth builder, but everybody else had a job. And so the more we see of us, that people that look like us, then we start realizing, wow, Uncle John here has a business. He makes pretty good money. He hires employees. He hires his family members. Aunt Susan, she's a real estate mogul, and she owns property, and, blah, blah, blah. Then you start thinking, whoa, this is economics. This is an economy. This is what I want to do. So again, you got to see it and understand it. So when you start understanding ROI, you start looking at your money and says, okay, how do I make my money multiply and increase? Because I'm an investor. I want 54%. I use that number a lot. I use my student made 1,090%. That made the 1.2 million. I have another student that made 4,444%. When you look at it, everybody goes, well, that's too good to be true. But once you understand the formula for ROI, which is profit divided by investment, for yourself, well, look, I think I'm going to make this amount of profit. I'm going to make this amount of my investment. It's going to produce a return of X. Well, does that X works for Eunice? So, hey, we're going to start our lesson. I don't really want to do that. We've been going about 48 minutes, and it's been extremely fun. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. You don't hang up, you stay there. But I want to thank you, Eunice. I'm really, really excited to be working with you, because I see a lot of opportunity. But again, for someone, how far is the UK from California, or UK from the United States? I have no clue, because when I was a kid, I never envisioned even coming close to the UK. Do you know? How many, do you know how long the flight would be? I have
no idea. I have been to LA a while back, but I have no idea. It was a very long flight, that's all I can say. But I have no idea.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and call it. Thank you again. And I hope the listeners have gotten something out of this, some sort of inspiration, some sort of call to action. You can keep doing what you're doing. I always have a saying that even if you think you're on the right track, you stand there long enough, you're going to get hit by the next train. You've got to take control of your finances.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eunice. Have a good one.
Thank you, Terry. You too. Bye.
Bye.